But the good news is we can take it back. And I believe that we will take back the American dream, which has been hijacked by the liberals in this country, because of that spirit of America that has awakened. It was that same spirit of America that allowed the founding fathers to conceive and start this great nation. They were tired of the oppression of old King George. They wanted to create a new nation based upon a new model. They conceived the Declaration of Independence, which inspired the Constitution of the United States of America. It was that spirit of America that started America, and it's that same spirit of America that's going to get America back on the right track. One of the great things about the United States of America in its short 235 years is that when things got the worst and things were the toughest, the people of the nation rose up. They rose up in order to bring about change. A lot of people, when they think about the United States, they think about some of our great strengths. They think about our great military might. They think about the great way of life that we have been able to establish through the decades. Or when they think about the strength of America, they think about our very large economic machine. Even though it's sputtering right now, we still have the biggest, most desirable economy in the world. But one of the strengths that you don't hear a lot about, that has contributed to the greatness of America, that has contributed to the heritage of America, is America's ability to change when it has to make a significant change, like we have done throughout history. You look at the history of this nation, some of our greatest leaders step forward in some of the toughest times in our history. Abraham Lincoln was a great leader, for which this event is named. Abraham Lincoln was a great leader at a time when this nation needed him the most. And I believe that great leaders are born. Good leaders keep working at it. Abraham Lincoln was a great leader. The reason that he was a great leader is because he refused to allow this nation to become divided. He was a great leader because he had read in my leadership books back then. But we have been blessed with great leaders throughout our history. John F. Kennedy was a great leader. He inspired this nation. He inspired this nation when he said by the end of the decade of the 60s, we will walk on the moon. He didn't say maybe. He didn't say might. He didn't say let's take a poll. He said we will walk on the moon. That's leadership. And he inspired this entire nation to believe that we could, and we did because of his inspirational leadership. Ronald Reagan was a great leader. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great leader. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great leader because he inspired this nation. He changed hearts, which changed minds, and it changed not only this country, but it changed the entire world. Great leaders that we have been blessed with. One of our greatest strengths is our ability to change. analyses on some of the Navy's weapons, their fire control systems. So I developed fire control systems and fire control parameters that would go into the computers on the ships and on the fighter aircraft to make sure they could aim them accurately. And when you're doing a ballistic analysis, the first thing that you determine is where's the target. It might seem like common sense, but some people shoot at a target, they don't even know where it is. In business, you start with what's the problem? Because if you are not working on the right problem, you are not going to solve the right problem. And the reason you get in the ministry is because this administration has not been working on the right problems on any of the problems. Not having any foreign policy experience and have the nerve to run for president with no foreign policy experience. And the guy there now does. What are his foreign policy credentials? But at least as a businessman and someone who has actually been a CEO and an executive, I at least have a foreign policy philosophy. I don't need to know all of the details. We got plenty of experts in Washington, D.C. I at least have a foreign policy philosophy, which is an extension of the Reagan philosophy. Peace through strength. Cain philosophy. When he becomes president of the United States of America, peace through strength and clarity. He must clarify who our friends are, clarify who our enemies are, and stop giving money to our enemies. And one of the reasons we need to clarify who our friends are is so we can tell the rest of the world that these are our friends and we will stand with them, such as our friend Israel. That's my foreign policy philosophy. Part two of my foreign policy is I have foreign policy common do when it comes to our religion. That's one of the things that distinguishes me from some of the other contenders for the Republican nomination. This economy is on life support. And we know that it's on life support because there is a fundamental economic principle that this administration does not get. And that is the economic engine of this economy is the business sector. To spend $1 trillion, and it didn't work. It's like putting $1 trillion in the caboose of this train. And since that didn't work so well, this president is proposing another $450 billion to go in the caboose. You knew it wouldn't work. I knew it wouldn't work. Every family in America knew it wouldn't work. But this is why we have the mess that we have. This president and his administration are determined to do it their way, which is the wrong way. And this is why in 2012, you and I are going to tell this president to hit the highway. everybody gets treated the same. What a novel idea. All businesses get treated the same. No loopholes, no special exemptions except for those that are at the low poverty level. That's why we have a provision in there called 909. So if you are at the low poverty level, your middle line becomes the zero. And the media tried to say that I modified my plan, that I backtracked when I got attacked in the last debate. John Hannity asked me the other night when I did a show, how does it feel to be at the top of the polls? Well, that bullseye on my back just got heavier and bigger. But they attacked me from the left and the right, every which way, and none of it was true. Deflected all of it the best you can, and you only got 30 seconds to respond. But one of the ways they were saying, it's going to be regressive on the poor. No, it's not. And I said in the debate, you all didn't read the point. You didn't read the entire analysis. But it's going to be regressive on the poor. In fact, some hit liberal organizations put out a press release 1 hour before the debate saying that it was going to raise taxes on 80% of the population, which was a flat-out lie. Because if you read that report, they admit at the end that they changed the assumptions. They changed the assumptions. And when they accused me of not looking out for the poor, and I said, if you hadn't read it, I said, if you hadn't read it, it was right there all along. So one reporter said, well, if it was there all along, why didn't you talk about that when you first started talking about your 999 plan? I didn't want to. It's my plan. It's not a meaning plan. And the other thing is, I knew they were going to say that. I could have proposed a tax plan. 0, 0, 0 for everybody. They would have said it's regressive on the poor. So I waited until they attacked me on that. And I said, don't read the rest of the plan. Because it is not regressive on the poor. And the thing that it's going to do is going to liberate this economy. It's going to liberate the entrepreneurial spirit in this country. And we're going to get this economy growing again the way it can and the way it should. I'm not going to go through all the policy positions and all of the solutions we put on the table tonight. Many of you all can find it on the website. But it's just to illustrate that if we're working on the right problem, if we're assigning the right priority, if you surround yourself with good people, you're going to put together the right plans in order to fix stuff. Nothing is getting fixed in Washington, D.C. by this administration. And when they had Democrat control of the House and the Senate. When was the last time something got fixed? Time's up. Senator Santorum said 2 debates ago, but Herman's plan can't pass. And I said, Senator, therein lies the difference between a professional politician and a businessman problem solver. I said, you propose stuff that you think you can get passed. Businessmen propose stuff to fix the problem. want to do something about it. You're here not just to hear me give a speech, but you're here because you care about the future of this country. When I was doing my radio show in Atlanta before I had to give it up and run for president. Prior to this administration taking over, I would have callers to my show, basically venting their frustration that they are concerned about the future of this country. Almost consistently, almost every night. Then after President Barack Obama and his administration took over, people were calling the show saying that they are fearful of the future of this country. We've gone from concern to fear because of the road that this administration has this nation on. And the American people are saying they don't like that road. They want to get back on the right track. Challenge you to do three things, and we can do this. Number one, stay informed. There's a lot of bad information out there. And with this big bullseye on my back, you're going to hear a lot of bad information about me. And if they can't find anything, they'll make it up. They've already started. But stay informed. And the reason that it is so critical to stay informed is because stupid people are ruining America. Came from a very humble family. My mother was a domestic worker. off of that one job when he got promoted to the top chauffeur job at the Coca-Cola company, when he became chauffeur for Robert W. Woodruff, the chairman and CEO of Coca-Cola. Dad taught my brother and I, my mom and my dad. They never talked about us being the victims in our household. Dad never talked about somebody owes us something. They taught us to believe in God, believe in yourself, and believe in the greatest country in the world. And you achieve your dreams. said not yet. God said not yet. And after I made it through that experience, it made me realize more than ever, there are two plans in life. There's your plan, and there's God's plan. I happen to believe that we were all put here to use our time, our talent, and our treasures to make a difference. Make a difference in your community. Make a difference in your county, your city, your state, your nation. Make a difference in the lives of others. That's why we're here. Now, praying about it and praying about it. After that experience, along with some other deep soul searching, knew that my new journey wasn't just cruise control. My new journey was headed toward the White House. Stay informed, stay involved, and stay inspired. Believe that we can do this. My inspiration actually started back in 1999. My first grandchild was born. And when I first looked into that little face for the very first time, I looked into her face, and the first thought that went through my mind wasn't, what do I do to give her a good start in life? It wasn't, what do I do to make sure she get a good education? The first thought that went through my mind, so help me God, was what do I do to make this a better nation and a better world? I didn't know the answer then, and that was over 12 years ago. But as my life unfolded, I am convinced that I am where I am today because this is God's plan for me. less money in the board, the message is more powerful than money. And I watched with amusement the other day, about a week ago, when they were giving the financial reports for all of the different campaigns. And it was on Fox News that morning. And they were going down the list. Well, Governor Perry has raised $14 or $15 million. They were talking about how much cash on hand. Governor Romney, 12 million. So much cash on hand. Came on down. Representative Bachman, about 8. No. Representative Paul, about 8 million. Representative Bachman, about 4 million. Come on down 2 more levels. That was Herman, Cain, with a measly $2.8 million. So one of the hosts on Fox News said, he doesn't have a lot of money, but he keeps winning. That's the voice of the people. The power of the voice of the people. That's why he keeps winning. So we know what we have to do, folks. So stay inspired. We can do this. The spirit of America that started this great country. The same spirit of America that's taking it back. That's why you're here. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I like the way President Ronald Reagan used to describe this thing called freedom. And he would say, freedom, never more than a generation away from extinction. You can't pass it on in the bloodstream. It must be thoughtful and protected. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our grandchildren what the United States of America used to be like when men were free. I'm not going to have that conversation with my grandkids, and I don't think you want to have that conversation with your grandkids. And President Reagan used to inspire the nation when he described this nation as that shining city on a hill. But in the last few years, that shining city on a hill has slid down to the side of the hill. We are still that shining city that all of the other nations look up to. But we're now down on the side of the hill because of the weakening of America. And if you give me the opportunity to be your nominee and to become president of the United States of America, my pledge to you that we together will take that shining city on a hill back to the top of the hill where it belongs.